Just one moment. Oh, sorry. You've just caught me catching up with the RAOB Quarterly Journal from 1966. Just a tad behind. So, are the journals of any use in family history or local history research? They are not too dissimilar to newspapers in that there are numerous articles in them. And of course newspapers, particularly way back, you would have to go put the film on and wrote it round until you went and found what you were looking for. Of course, since then we've had digitisation of quite a few things, and a lot of websites like Ancestry, who do not sponsor this, but like I said before, we're a long way off that, providing searchable indexes and of course websites for newspapers. There is, as far as I know, no central repository for the RAOB Quarterly Journal, or there are and have been several magazines and journals for various banners and provinces of the RAOB. There's the Mitre, which is for the Grand Lodge of England Limited. There are ones from abroad. The Buffalo Bulletin, which is Australian, certainly was. There is the Saladang News, if anybody knows how to say that better, then let me know, which is for lodges abroad. The biggest group is the RAOB GLE, the Royal Antediluvian Order of Buffalo's Grand Lodge of England, which is the main and largest group. Their quarterly journal, obviously, is produced quarterly, so 4 times a year. It started out life being March, June, September and December, and then switched to spring, summer, autumn and winter. The change happened in the middle of 1978, so the beginning of the year was March and June, and the end of the year was autumn and winter. Anyway, we have a magazine here from 1934. So that's what it looked like in 1934, with various articles in there. We have one from 1962, 1966, just to show you various designs. 1996, again, the pictures are black and white, but I think, yeah, various articles. And then of course 2020, and with colour photographs then for various things. Now some of the earlier ones, about the 60s and 70s, include the dates for lodges opening, which is helpful if you want to know when your relative's lodge opened. You need that information in order to avoid wasting too much time. Now, as family history researchers and even local history researchers, we seem compelled to go ahead and spend our time looking for things, even if we can't find them. But we also know that we need to save a certain amount of time by having some information to go ahead and help us focus that effort in the right place, even if it turns out what we were looking for still isn't there. So if you know when the lodge is open, it does help, and if you know when the lodge shut, that's even better. You'll know that it might occur in the middle of those things, but not every lodge submits something. There is no, like I say, central repository, no digitisation of these magazines. We do have, I believe, the technology these days to be able to digitise them, and AI probably would, I presume that's what they use anyway on the newspapers, but would certainly help to organise them. But there is no central database for all these things, and there are other local ones. There is one for the Grand Executive Banner and Grand Lodge of England lodges in the Luton area, which is more of a home-produced, printed, typewritten one. Obviously, as these things go, I couldn't find it. I have one or so of those, but I couldn't find them. Some archives have some of these journals in their collections, so if you can find one of those, it would be worth looking at. Would it be worth buying one? Unless you're really certain of finding out something unless you're really certain of finding the information you want, I would say probably not unless it's very cheap or you're just interested. Local history, you've got a wide, compared to family history, you've got a larger chance of finding something or adding something new to the history that you perhaps are writing of an area or a pub. I don't see much about the RAOB in any history books, really. It's very rare. I certainly haven't come across one personally. Provided you're prepared to spend the time and risk wasting that time, then yes, they are useful. I have never found anything to do with my great-granddad's lodge, despite looking and despite it being open when some of these magazines were produced. So not all of them do add things. And one other further note, some of the articles can be months afterwards, and because the people writing it know what they're talking about and when the event occurred, it can be quite frustrating when they're not quite clear who is involved and other, such confusions that occur. Some others are, of course, about lodge histories, when they started, when they opened, and those can be quite interesting. Until there's such time as someone digitises enough of these things and gets them together, I would see if your local library or archives have any of them. They are useful if you can find them. Of course, the really old ones don't have a list of lodges opening. It would have required an entire magazine. The lodges were opening at such a rate in the 1920s that they must have been opening hundreds at a time. But like any other record, of course, they are useful. Of course, it is worth looking if you think there's something that you will find. And as, like I say, local history researchers and family history researchers, we tend to go ahead and do that anyway. There is no index to help you. But yes, they would be of use if you can find them in your local library or archive. And of course, as local history and family history researchers, we do spend a lot of time looking for things, whether we can find them or we can't. It's the nature of what we're doing. Anyway, thank you for watching. So I think I'll get back to my own researches.